epistemology.
Yeah, we really are. And how many depictions from the past of flying things? Ezekiel from the Bible, Vimanas, all these different, like, what are they saying? What are these
Yeah,
things? Like,
yeah,
what do you think that stuff is? Like, what is it? You
yeah.
know? And
And
but then again, you and I, neither one of us has had an experience. So we're just like fucking
I've s-
peeing in the wind.
I've
Have you seen
seen
something?
I've seen a UFO,
What
but
have you seen?
I've actually a few, but
Really?
yeah, yeah.
How have you been so lucky?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it's because they know.
And
They know you're
I
working on it.
they're like who knows? There are UFO researchers that like don't like to talk about this, but I think the move is just be honest. Like I've seen the thing and I
What'd
don't
you
know what to
see?
say. I was in Laurel Canyon where I used to live, and I saw a thing that looked like a fucking school bus. It looked like no visible propulsion, this like sort of low humming noise or whatever. It was maybe 50, 60, 70 feet high, like above the right above the treetops. The trippiest part of the experience and why it's just so weird is I was with this woman I was kind of dating at the time, and we were taking a walk in Laurel Canyon, and she was like, "Are you into aliens?" And I was like, "Actually, I kind of am into. I was kind of interested in that topic." And then I think I joked back. I was like, "I kind of want to meet an alien," and she was like, "Me too." And then she goes, "You'll meet them when you stop looking for them."
Oh, that bitch is an alien.
And then
She was a plant.
this is the weirdest part of the whole story. As we're walking, it's like sunset in Laurel Canyon. We walk by a guy with a metal detector who's like looking for something. Where it's like, why are you looking for something at sunset in Laurel Canyon or whatever? So like that felt like this weird like like mirroring of our conversation. I have no fucking idea. Then we walk into this little clearing and we see this like school bus thing like just go right over the
What
treetops.
color was it?
It was silver metallic,
Like an Airstream trailer.
like an Airstream trailer. Yeah, I can send you guys a video. I went on Chris Ramsey's podcast. I described it, and I was sent a video. And for all I know, this video is fucking fake, by the way. But it was the thing that looked most like what I saw because it doesn't match up with like the saucer,
Right.
triangle thing.
Yeah.
You.
And I don't know. I am almost more inclined to say discount my own thing over like the Q cleared guys who've like seen these things at
How
nuclear
long was it
bases.
in the sky for?
It was in the sky for like a few seconds because we couldn't even see past the clearing or whatever. She said she saw it go over the trees and then descend down into the distance. I did not see that.
Huh.
And like you're talking, Laurel Canyon is like mostly residential, so like I'm like, where did it descend?
Right.
I don't
So
know.
what else have you seen? You said you saw more than one thing?
Yeah. So another time, I was actually with a friend who invests like with me and Peter, and is like the most rational guy you'll ever meet. Like he's a fan of like Noam Chomsky and like David Hume. Like he is a modern rationalist, atheist, skeptic. And we went surfing that day. We were back at his place. I was super into holotropic breathwork at the time, which I love. And we were doing holotropic breathwork. 5 minutes in, we both see these like metallic looking orbs. This time super high up in the sky, like probably higher than what you would, definitely way higher than a drone. And one's bobbing above him, one's bobbing above me, similar to like the typical like orb that a lot of people sort of describe, like the Mosul orb or whatever, a lot of these sightings. And he looks at me and I go like, what the fuck is that? He goes, dude, I think that's like some secret black Lockheed tech or whatever. And then I don't even say anything. 2 seconds goes by and then he looks at me and he goes, dude, that's not fucking from here. He's like, that's not Lockheed. Like, I don't know what that is.
Do you entertain the possibility that there's states of consciousness that you could achieve where these things become visible?
Absolutely. And you've had Rick Strassman on. He talks about, DMT, the spirit molecule. He talks about DMT as like night vision, or like it's like it's like goggles or a window. It's like Aldous Huxley, the doors of your perception. Are you superimposing a hallucination onto reality? Or are you just seeing, we see a limited part of the electromagnetic wave spectrum. We see between 400 and 700 nanometers. Our audio range, there's a certain decibel limit, right? So like when you take a substance like that, are you seeing things that are in objective reality, but we just don't have access to them. It's actually adaptive for us not to have access to them in our waking reality. And so
Right.
it's this interesting philosophical question. I don't know the answer to it.
Right. Would we even be able to function if we had access to that? Probably not.
Probably not. No, it is. There's a guy named Donald Hoffman who's a cognitive psychologist, and he talks about it's like, why don't we see electromagnetic waves themselves? Like, why
Right.
aren't you seeing
Right.
Hertz
Right.
frequencies?
Right. Yeah.
We need to iconize everything we see, just like a desktop computer.
Hmm.
Like, why do you see red? Because boom, red, blood, I gotta run,
Yeah.
whatever. And then they hack that with notifications on social media. But the point is, we are seeing inherently a collapsed, condensed version of reality. We aren't seeing the thing itself.
Yeah.
And so it ends up in these ontological loops where, like, yeah, some rationalist skeptic can be like, you're lying. That's full. It ends up in this not even wrong category of
Mm.
like, I can't say that what I just said is definitively true as far as it being a window into some other realm, but neither the skeptic, we just live in the age of disenchantment where you
Right.
say, don't trust your eyes.
Right.
And that's as much faith-based dogma as what I'm saying. So who knows? And that's why I rest when I talk about this stuff on the show. I rest more on the nuclear cases because it fits to our modern epistemology more.
Right.
But it's not to say you should discount these, people's experiences where they do, maybe they're in a peak state of consciousness and they experience a thing. Maybe that thing is real.
Either there might be multiple different types of things that come by, and the nuclear one is a weird one. I mean, if you were from another planet or some other place and you recognized an emerging civilization that had nuclear capabilities, you'd be like, "Hey, fuckers,
Yeah.
slow down, hit
Oh,
the
yeah.
brakes, son."
You would freak out.
Unquestionably.
Yeah.
That's why we named the rooms at the comedy mothership Fat Man and Little Boy, because that's when they started showing up.
Yep.
That's when we got a lot of sightings. Was post the bombs.
Totally. And I love the mothership, by the way. It's amazing. And I love going and seeing how UFO theme, like,
Yeah.
in preparation for this, I've had a couple friends be like, man, Joe's like anti-UFO though. And I'm like, no, he's just frustrated with disclosure. Go to the mothership. The whole fucking thing is themed so UFO.
How can anybody say I'm
Anti-UFO.
anti-UFO? There's fucking UFOs everywhere. There's one on the desk. There's one behind me.
I know.
That's so silly.
And you broke the biggest UFO story of all time. Like, you've done more for disclosure than anybody, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not anti-UFO, but I'm allergic to bullshit, and this stuff, some of it smells like bullshit, which is, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about those little mummies in Peru.
Yeah, dude.
What do you think is going on there?
They break my brain. They are. This was the most frustrating case I've ever had to deal with, and I wish I could give you a definitive, these things are definitely dead aliens. I cannot say that definitively at all. I do think there's a lot of reason to believe that they are forensically organisms. They're organisms
If
that
they're not, they're incredible works of art.
If they're not, they're the most sophisticated hoax ever that basically tricked forensic experts from John McDowell, who just won the greatest award in forensics you could win or whatever, the Grand Wall Award, who is the president of the American Forensics Scientific Association or whatever in the U.S. Jim Caruso, who's the chief medical examiner in Denver. The equivalent of McDowell is a guy named Dr. David Ruiz, so he's the Peruvian head of their forensics association, and the head of the Mexican Navy forensics, this guy named Dr. Jose Salze. All of these guys have seen. So,
I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Let's explain to people this so they can be standalone, because a lot of people are like, "What the fuck are they blabbing about?"
Yeah.
There are these very small, mummified-looking things that are in Peru that seem to look exactly like a similar kind of thing to a human being, but varies enough that you know it's not us. And it has more ribs, there's more spinal columns, or more discs. This is what they look like. And there's x-rays of them, and that's where it gets really weird. And they're tridactyl, right? So they have 3 fingers and 3 toes.
Yep. And so these were discovered in 2015 in a cave by a guy named Leandro, who goes by Mario. And this is one of the headaches about the case, is like we don't have good provenance on it. So he is this Huaquero gravedigger guy, and they were found in diatomaceous earth. So there's actually an idea that they might not even be mummies. Diatomaceous earth is a desiccant, and so they were dried out. and a lot of the organs are actually still inside the bodies. And there are 3 different types. There are S types, which are these little winged creatures. There are J types. The J types are probably, they were most popularized in this Mexican Congress where these things were outed in September of 2023, where they look like almost Close Encounters. Jamie, if you scroll down, like you see that Peru's Congress, like right there, like that thing looks like this like jokey, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like it looks like
totally fake.
It looks totally fake, right? So those are the J types. They're like 25-ish, maybe 25 to 30
But
of
then
those.
there's the ones that they've x-rayed, and that's where it gets really weird.
The weirdest ones that I was talking about, the forensics people kind of evaluating, are these M types. These are like 4 to 5 feet. They look pretty anatomically consistent.
Have you seen them in person?
I have.
Really?
Yeah.
And what was your feeling?
My feeling was, it was this.
Hey, keep those images up, please.
It was, as with a lot of these things, oscillating between, holy shit, this thing is not from here, and then, dude, you have to like chill, and like there's so many other things, you know, there's so many other gates this has to get through for us to actually, you know, verify this stuff.
See if you can go the x-rays, Jamie. Find the images from the x-rays. That's one, but there's one that's a little bit better because it's one of the fetal position. It's
Jamie, in my document,
yeah,
actually.
look at that one.
Okay, there you go. So that one has eggs inside of it.
What?
If you go, yeah, Montserrat, which
look at
is
its hips.
Yeah.
How weird.
So if you go to Montserrat clip, yeah. So this one's pregnant and has what they are claiming to be a tridactyl fetus inside of it. Yeah.
How many of these do they have?
So they have 8 to 10 of these M types, these kind of most realistic looking ones.
8 to 10?
8 to 10. And then they have 25 to 30 of the J types. So yeah, look at that. That's a 3D reconstruction of the CAT scan.
So they have teeth. That's weird.
They have teeth.
Right?
Yeah. They have tendons. They have bones. They have cartilage. They have organs inside. And then so this is where we need to verify stuff. They even have actually.
Could you go back to the part of the video where what's that? Yeah, that part.
They have.
What the fuck is that, man? That's crazy.
They have osmium and cadmium implants in them, which are rare earth metals that were discovered in the 19th century, too.
If this is art, if someone made this, I need to buy one.
yeah.
Like, you need to tell me how much this costs. I need to put it on my table because you're a genius. If you've made that and you tricked everybody into thinking that that's real, you're a goddamn genius, and you shouldn't just be hoaxing people.
Well,
so then the alternative is that's real. Well, if that's real, that's completely insane.
Joe, fortunately and fortunately for you maybe, but unfortunately for the case, these huaqueros, these gravediggers, are selling some of these things on the black market. And this case is the wild west.
Nobody.
It is so...
How much? How much could I get one for?
I've heard 7 figures.
7 figures?
I've heard a lot of money.
Jeez Louise.
But
is Peter Thiel buying one of these? Don't say yes. Look at that thing.
It's wild.
That's so crazy.
But there are serious problems. I want to caveat all of this, and like, you know, I don't want to be overly sensationalist about this. If it's a hoax, it's the best hoax ever. Right. It is the best. My friend Michael Mazzola, who like kind of rolled the red carpet down, allowed me to even see these things. He's making a video, making a documentary on this that's coming out this August, and it's called "This Is Not a Hoax." I told him to put in parentheses, or this is the most sophisticated hoax ever.
Right.
Because the DNA testing sucks. There's no signal. The signal to noise ratio sucks on the DNA.
How come?
Because there was probably human contamination. Like the NCBI, which is this like biotech repository where you have a lot of this genetic information on 2 of the bodies, Victoria and Maria. This is all publicly available. They've done analysis on this, and like the camp that is very pro, you know, these being alien, is this guy Jaime Maussan, and he is, I actually think he's awesome. I love him. He's like this former 60 Minutes guy in Mexico, and he's paid a lot of money to protect a lot of these bodies. He's very open about like we just need more scientific research. You know, he wants more eyes on this thing, but some of the genetics, some of the genetics researchers that they're basing this stuff on, I spoke to one of them. This guy's name is Dr. Ricardo Rangel, and he's a biologist. I don't think he's actually a geneticist. And his belief is like, he was like, this is, there's 30% of this is like unknown DNA that we don't know. And then in the 70%, you have mitochondrial DNA from Myanmar. And then you have DNA from a parasite in Africa. And you also have bonobos and chimpanzee DNA, which means it was an ancient primate that held this DNA because it was before they phylogenetically split off. So what he's saying, and this is crazy, is he was saying that like a hominid species, an early hominid species, went from Asia to Africa. And because there's some theories that they actually, East Africa is not like the first hominid species. Maybe it was East Asia. So it's already like kind of requiring some leaps of logic or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then had sex with this like primate thing, and you end up with this hybrid. And then another leap of logic is that before Pizarro and all the conquistadors, like there's actually like transmission of, beings from Africa to South America. I don't believe that. It's crazy. It's like saying the pangolin theory is better than the Wuhan lab leak theory, which is just like Occam's razor. That's not real.
Well, we do know that there were other types of hominids that coexisted with human beings.
Denisovans.
Yeah. The Flores people, the Hobbit people. What is the carbon dating on these things?
Carbon dating, it ranges from 700 years ago, which would actually be Incan. That would be because Incan started in like 1450. Mm-hmm. And then all the way down to 1800 years ago, which is the Nazca people.
That's what's fascinating because, there's this mystery of the Hobbit people, right? Where they didn't really think that was that. There's a lot of speculation that it was some bizarre type of human being that was deformed and tiny, and then they realized, like, no, this is a specific branch of the human chain, just like Denisovan, just like Neanderthal. There's a thing called the Orang Pendek. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what is that?
They think, I believe it's Indonesia and maybe Vietnam, where people talk about these little tiny hairy people that live in the jungle.
Whoa.
And so these Flores things, there's a few biologists that believe these things are still alive.
Interesting.
I think even on the island of Flores, they might still be alive.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Right. So if they're alive, if this turns out to be true, like let's imagine it is, because there's been things like the coelacanth, which they thought were extinct for millions of years, and then they caught one, and they're like, oh my god, this is a prehistoric fish that's still alive, and now they know that there's a population of them. But this is the deep ocean, right? Much less explored. But when you look at Indonesia, when you look at Flores, the island of Flores, look at all these places, like, you're talking about insanely dense vegetation that is virtually uninhabited.
Yeah.
So maybe, and these things used to live on that island for sure. We've got bones. We know they lived. We know they used tools. We know they probably had language. They lived on that island. They might still be alive. So we didn't know about these things. And I think, was it the 90s? I think when they discovered them. Denisovans, I think, was like 2010, and then this new species, the big-headed people, were they Julians? What are they called? That's it. That's like a few months ago.
Right.
They found these.
Right.
And this is another type of human being. So what are the odds that there's some three-footed, three-toed thing that existed a few thousand years ago?
And there are pictoglyphs all over the region, both in Nazca and Pulpa in southern Peru.
So this is one that looks fake as fuck. But this guy is driving in his motorcycle, and he's filming, and he claims that he got this thing running away.
No way,
Yeah.
a little hairy thing?
Yeah, you can see as he's riding his motorcycle, this thing like darts across the road in front of him. And this is a few years ago too, where CGI sucked. So there it is. You can see it real briefly for a second. It just runs across the road. Look at that.
Oh my god.
What is that? I don't know. But if this thing did exist at one point in time, god damn, it looks good.
Yeah.
If it did exist at one point in time and people do see it all the time, there might be a small population of them that are still alive. That thing, the X-ray of it, or the
CAT scan.
MRI, the CAT scan, looked human. but weird.
Yes.
But the teeth and the jaw, it looked like a deformed human.
And it is important to note that there were skull elongation rituals going on as early as the
Yes.
Paracas people, which
Right.
were pre the Nazca
Right,
people.
and what were they imitating?
That's the interesting question. What the Nazca lines? Why are they making? It's probably humans that made these things,
Right.
but they're things that only make sense from an aerial view,
And they're miles long.
and they're miles long.
What are you doing?
And there are pictoglyphs, cave art all over the region with 3-fingered beings, with tridactyl beings.
Are there really?
There are, and this is the weirdest thing. There's a guy named Thierry Amin who is like the first Westerner. He's this French he's an amazing archaeologist and explorer. And he was the first guy that met Leandro, the grave digger who found the bodies to begin with. Kalki is the actually like local dialect there that's spoken. He says that the name of the general region means laboratory for insemination and cloning.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, in Kalki. Yeah.
What?
So like I need to corroborate this. Like I don't have the skills to do that, but like that's what he says. It's crazy.
What the fuck, man?
I know. But then
Holy shit.
why this case is such a headache is like there's this guy Steve Mera who I think is he's a UFO researcher. He's one of the less mushy-brained UFO researchers. There's a lot of mushy-brained UFO researchers. Really smart guy. I've like quoted him in a lot of my other videos, and he's like, we looked at one of the M types, one of the bigger ones that like I'm still holding out hope for because like I'd love it to be real. And he said that he did genetic analysis on 2 of the phalanges, and one came back male, one came back female. And so he was like, I think they were constructed. But I'm like, how do you get by these forensic experts? So it's this weird, it's just the DNA stuff, you don't get a good signal. And the reason that nobody even cared, this is the most interesting paleoarchaeological case today, in my opinion. The reason that people don't even care is because in 2023, when these were popularized by Jaime Maussan, where he rolled out this J-type Josefina, the one that looked like kind of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, in front of the Mexican Congress, this guy named Manuel Caceres, who was an artist who was making renditions of the things with like wood and sticks and stuff glued together. He was apprehended at the airport by the chief Peru prosecutor, this guy named Flavio Estrada. And Reuters picked this up saying this is all fake because of these fake, and I have this in this documentary that I'm coming out with, where he goes, this was art. Yeah, we dub it, but he goes, this was art. It's crazy. So
that's the signals crossed.
The signals crossed, and I think if there's anything about this case, it's like, let's get our best and brightest on it and figure it out.
Yeah.
I think we can figure it out quickly if we had the right research. And there are all these Interpol laws, like you can't move the bodies from Peru, and it's crazy.
Well, even if it's just a different branch of the human chain, I mean, that just if that's a different branch off the human tree, that's fascinating enough.
I agree.
That there's like 3-fingered, 3-toed people that live
totally
with a weird shaped head.
And if you find there is phenotypic inheritance where you find that the tridactyl being inside Montserrat's belly is also tridactyl, then at what point do you go, how can you hoax that? How can you hoax that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and he's Zalce, who by the way is the head of the Mexican medical navy. He was thrown in jail for supporting this case because they were like, we don't want to be associated with this. And now the new Secretary of the Navy in Mexico has brought him back, and he's sort of being vindicated. But he is like, I was like, Jose, like if you showed this CAT scan image of the baby tridactyl to any normal doctor, they didn't know anything about the case, would they say it had 3 fingers? He goes, yes. So if that's the case, I think that is a big deal. But then you have the Steve Mera thing, and so I don't want to come out fully, I don't know.
Of course, yeah, of course. But I mean, how much evidence would there be? This is the problem with fossils, right? Because when things die, they don't really create fossils unless it's a very extraordinary instance. Like something unusual has to occur. You got to get trapped in mud.
Right.
That's how. So most of the things that have lived, we don't have fossils of. Which is, if this thing was a small percentage or small population, small percentage of the living humans, and some of them are like that, and they just died off like 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago.
And these ones got saved because they were around a diatomaceous earth mine, which preserved their organs and their whole body.
Just from an anthropology perspective, that should be the most fascinating thing. But it's got the stink of a hoax on it, so people don't want to go and study it.
Yeah. Part of what I almost want to do is like a nature of reality fund that I tie to the show, where I'm like, I see so many cases like this where I'm like, if we just had some money. And it's like so important for humanity, right? And it's like nonprofit. It's just, let's just pay to get the best people. I think like one of the problems with modernity is like the smartest people are working on the dumbest problems. We're building $15 billion particle accelerators. People are stuck in string theory. We're like debating all this dumb shit. And you have these things. I don't know if they're real. You can debunk it, fine. But if they're real, and it's not 0% that they're real, according to these forensic experts, let's pour some resources into it.
Yeah, it might be real. They look real.
They look kind of real.
They look very real.
When I was in person, I was like, what the fuck?
Like I said, if that's art, whoever made it is fucking incredible. If that's art, you would have to have a really deep understanding of anatomy and then alter it.
Yeah.
And then make it uniform so you do multiple versions of these things. Go back to that image again, Jamie, the one you just showed me. Look at that head, man.
Yeah.
That looks like a fucking alien.
It totally looks like an alien. The one other weird wrench that we should mention is there's a proteomics expert who wants to remain anonymous because I think he doesn't want to be associated with the stigma of this case. He looked at some proteins from an isolated skull of the J-types. Now, I don't think the J-types, the things that were rolled out from the Mexican Congress, are necessarily real. I think maybe they were made in homage to these things that do look more real. And he found alpaca proteins on them. And so that's another important point that, is a little fly in the ointment here.
So somebody probably made fake ones too. But if there's a market where you can get 7 figures for a real one, of course someone's going to make some fake ones.
Totally.
100%.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, what is that? And why do they have 3 fingers? And the Lazar craft, didn't it have like some sort of an indentation for hands?
It did, yeah.
And didn't have 3 fingers?
Oh, I don't know. Did it? That would be wild. I don't know.
I think it did.
Oh my god.
I think it did. And I think it was really small, just like these things are.
We're breaking ground on the Joe Rogan Experience.
What if that's it?
That's crazy.
And also, here's the thing. We have this concept of this coming from another planet, but it might not be from another planet.
Yeah.
It might be from here.
Hal Puthoff noted that on your show. He has a paper called the Silurian Hypothesis, which is you have cataclysms like the Younger Dryas Impact, or other things like that. You have 66 million years ago, Luis Walter Alvarez, there's the asteroid impact killed all the dinosaurs or whatever.
Break off civilization, just like this $21 trillion is supposed to be funding.
There you go.
Right? Like the underground, those tunnels and caverns in Turkey, where they have this immense underground civilization, or city, rather.
And it almost felt like maybe they were hiding out from a cataclysm or something.
Right, and that's what they think it was. Yeah, so imagine if there's some break-off civilization where they lived, we're talking hundreds of thousands of years ago, but they're different than us. And, sometimes they come visit.
Could be, man.
Which is one of the reasons why they come out of the ocean a lot.
And totally. They're transmedium, and in some sense, you would care way more about the nuclear stuff. You'd be like, don't destroy your planet. Don't destroy our planet.
Yeah,
we're here.
You'll kill us too, you stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you're dropping nukes in the ocean,
The Marshall Islands test. Exactly.
That's nuts.
Really nuts.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a whole other rabbit hole. I don't know if you want to get it.
See if you can find out if the Bob Lazar ones had handprints for 3.
There's a hand scanner he talked about, but it wasn't about 3 fingers.
No, the hand scanner was at Los Alamos.
I typed in Bob Lazar UFO 3 fingers. AI says his claims have nothing to do with aliens with 3 fingers.
What did he say the controls for the vehicle? Because
it was like mental,
there's something about putting your hands on something. I believe there's something. Helmet 115. Didn't it say something about controls? Like that what did the inside of the craft look like? Inside of craft. So that's Jeremy Corbell outlines. Okay. God, I want to say that they had 3 fingers.
That would be wild.
saying. Because they're tiny. They have 3 fingers. That's these things.
He said the seats were very small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be like 3 feet tall or 4 feet tall. That's these things.
There you go.
That's these things.
Yeah. And they're in the cave art. It looks like they're flying. It's like hard to say because it's on caves or whatever.
I
But
want to see that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, you can do tridactyl cave art.
God, how weird. And how old is this cave art?
I think it dates to the Nazca period, so around that time.
See, let's look up that first. You did? Tridactyl cave art. How weird. It's all so fucking weird, man.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's so weird. It's because it's almost like reality fucking with you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you have like the Amazon is. There's probably one in my dock, Jamie, that I sent you.
There's a couple there. Oh, there's 4. There's one there.
There's 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa. 3 fingers and 3 toes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Textile fragments.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like
Circa
all over.
1000 AD. Whoa.
Yeah.
3 fingers, 3 toes, big crazy head, weird eyes. How fucking strange, man.
So nuts.
There's so much we don't know, and everyone's scared of being ridiculous.
I know.
You know, everyone's scared. This is one of the great things about what you do and what I do is we don't have to worry about being ridiculous.
Totally.
We just are.
Yeah, and we don't have to be like, we have credentials.
Right.
Just be
We
a
don't have to worry
normal-
about being taken seriously.
Yeah.
Because so many people do worry about it and they don't want to stick their neck out. But when you see something like this, the 3 fingers, 3 toes artwork from 1,000 fucking years ago,
Yeah.
and it looks really weird, and then you see these things, you're like, hey, is that real?
Totally. And discoveries require boldness. They
Yeah.
require like just going for it.
Yeah.
And it's this like kind of nitpicky credentialism of like I can't say anything other than the established wisdom. What is your incremental addition then to human knowledge?
Right. And when faced with undeniable evidence, will you relent? Will you give in, or will you just like dig your heels in till you drop off the face of the earth? Like, look what's going on with Egypt. You know, and when Hatzaki was, he's just completely unwilling to look at that. What is it, tomography? The data that shows that there might be something underneath the pyramid.
Right.
This is bullshit. Is it?
Are you sure? Yeah.
How do you know? You don't even understand the science.
There's no first principles arguments around it.
Right.
It's just, no, it can't be or whatever. It's politics. Science is supposed to be the most immune from politics, and it's the most political thing. It is.
When you find that out, it's so disappointing.
It's so
It's so
disillusioning.
disappointing.
Totally.
And then when you have these scientists that like dismiss people and start using this one.
That's so wild.
That thing is around that has one arm with 3, and one arm with 3.
Whoa. What is that supposed to be?
I don't know. There's a couple other things on the other page. 2 heads, cats.
Maybe 2 heads, but no eyes. How weird is that? Like, what is that?
Big eyes.
Or maybe that's it inside the thing that it controls. You know what I'm saying?
A little sports model.
Right. Or it's showing the fingers, meaning like the fingers or what operates this thing.
Right.
What are you seeing?
Yeah.
This is so nuts, man.
It's so crazy.
All 3 fingers. Like, what are the fucking odds of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the odds that this is 1,000 years old, these images and these textiles, and then you find this stuff?
Totally.
Like, what?
It's in the mythology. And,
Right.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on, man?
I know.
It's so frustrating, Jesse.
I'm with you, man. And the Amazon is the size of the Indian subcontinent. We have to like LiDAR it and like
Right.
understand. We're finding cities every day. Like,
Right.
We need to do the research.
Yeah, we do. We do. Look at more of these. More 3-finger ones. God, that's so weird. Yeah, so weird.
Almost that weird bird that we looked at the other day with Luke.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And Luke, who hopefully will be an amazing guest on your show.
He's been on.
I know.
He was amazing.
Yeah,
he was
awesome.
fantastic. He was so good.
He will say, like, he's been everywhere, right? And like he's always like, Peru is the weirdest place I always go.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming in. Fucking love your show. It's so good. It's excellent. American Alchemy. It's on YouTube. Is it just Jesse Michaels on YouTube? Like, how do they find the channel?
Jesse Michaels on YouTube. I have a WOP, which is where it's called WHOP. It's an amazing place where we facilitate discussions about cool science
How do
and
you have the
frontier
time for
stuff.
all this?
I don't know. I don't
This
sleep.
must absorb because your stuff is really well produced.
Thank you.
It must take an enormous amount of time to edit all that.
Honestly, I'm burnt out.
Listen, I'm glad you're doing it. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate
everybody,
you.
go watch it. Go check out the channel. It's fantastic. If they want to find you on social media, what is your
My social media, it's Jesse Michaels Official on Instagram.
No
Alchemy
A.
American.
Michaels with
No
no
A.
A.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bane of my existence.
is it?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Roll call back in the day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was fun.
Joe,
a lot
I
of fun. Let's
appreciate
do it
you,
again
man.
sometime when more shit's gonna come out. Hopefully.
Let's do it.
All right.
Awesome, man.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.
Social circle.